Good day everyone, my name is Firdavs Muhammadjonov and today I'm excited to introduce you a groundbreaking research project focusing on accessibility evaluation of web applications for users with disabilities. In today's world, increasingly reliant on digital technology and digital space, ensuring accessibility for everyone is crucial. Our research aims to address this issue by considering the obstacles they face when accessing online web applications. This research is divided into 5 clear steps, each explained in detail through a video presentation. We'll talk about accessibility guidelines, about accessibility evaluation, about web accessibility statistics. Then we'll talk about accessibility compliance assessment, and lastly about recommendations for improving the accessibility of web applications. These steps will help us to understand the obstacles and promote solutions for making the web application more accessible. So we can say that this research is not just only about technicalities. It's about creating a more inclusive digital space where everyone can participate fully. By joining me on this journey, you can contribute to the future where accessibility is given, not a privilege. But before diving deep into the journey into the research, in order for you to get main point from this video, from this journey, you should have a clear understanding, a clear picture of what web accessibility is. So that's why I would like to start with the basics. So in today's increasingly world, internet is added in the fabric of our daily lives, ensuring for accessibility for everyone, regardless of their abilities, is not just a choice. Web accessibility refers to a practice of designing and developing web applications that allow users with disabilities to investigate, perceive, understand, and interact with the web effectively. It means considering various disabilities, including visual, speech, neurological, physical impairments. So why web accessibility is so important? So let me draw a picture for you. Imagine trying to navigate a website without being able to see the screen, or attempting to interact with the form just only using the keyboard because you cannot use a mouse. These scenarios may seem abstract to some, but for millions of people they are realities. So web accessibility is not just only about accommodating disabled people. It's ensuring that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, have equal access to the information, content, and services online. So how can we ensure web accessibility? It starts with education and awareness. By understanding the principles of accessible design and development, we can create a more accessible web application. So here we're now ready to start our first step in our exploration and build our knowledge by understanding the accessibility guideline. Think of this guideline as a blueprint for creating inclusive digital space. They provide us with clear directions on how to design web applications that are usable by everyone, regardless of their abilities. By understanding these principles, by following these guidelines, we'll be equipped with the knowledge to design web applications that cater to the different needs of all users. One of the case sets of guidelines we'll be focusing on is the Web Content Accessibility Guideline. It's the international standard which explains how to make web content more accessible to people with disabilities. Think of it as a roadmap for creating websites and content that everyone can use regardless of their abilities. It's based on 4 key principles: perceivability, apparability, understandability, and robustness. Under each principle, there are specific guidelines. For each guideline, there are testable success criteria. The success criteria are at 3 levels here: A, AA, and AAA. Each level builds on the previous one, with AA being the most common standard. Within each level, there are specific success criteria that outline what you need to do to meet that level of accessibility. Now, Section 508. This is law in the United States that requires federal agencies to make the electronic and information technology accessible to people with disabilities. So what does it mean? It means federal agencies have to make sure their website, software, and other digital tools can be used by everyone, regardless of their abilities. This includes things like making sure websites can be navigated using just a keyboard, or providing alternatives for images and videos. We can say that unlike Web Content Accessibility Guideline, Section 508, this guideline mostly concerns the federal aspect of our life. Now we should also talk about some minor guidelines that are also helpful. In our modern era, where smartphones, mobile devices have become vital tools for communication, information access, and productivity, it's essential to ensure that everyone can fully participate in the mobile experience. Mobile Accessibility Guideline serves as a roadmap for developers, designers, and businesses to create mobile applications and websites that are inclusive and usable by all individuals, including those with disabilities. These guidelines contains a wide range of considerations covering different aspects such as navigation, visual design, input method, content presentation, and interactivity. And also I want to talk about ISO/IC. This rulebook, or standard we can also say, gives us guidelines to developers and designers on how to make websites and apps more accessible. It's like checklists of things they need to do to make sure that everyone, no matter their abilities, can use a digital style without any problems. These guidelines include things like making sure the text is ready to read, adding options for people who cannot see well or hear well, and making it possible to use websites and apps without mouse, just using a keyboard. By following these guidelines, by following Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, Section 508, Mobile Application Guideline, developers can create digital style that works better for everyone, and that's pretty cool. Now we talk about guideline, we talk about accessibility standards. Here I also prepared the requirement for improving the accessibility of web application. First, one of the main requirements is providing sufficient contrast between foreground and background. Foreground text needs to have sufficient contrast with background colors. This includes text on image, background gradients, buttons, and other elements. Here you can see in this example, here I provided also an example of insufficient contrast ratio and sufficient contrast ratio. Also, another requirement is not using color alone to convey information. While color can be useful to convey information, color should not be only way information is conveyed. When using color to differentiate elements, also provide some additional identifications that does not rely on color. For example, like asterisks or numbers. Here, provided an example of color and number, of using color and number in combination of color and number. Here you can see that it's more effective, it's more effective for web accessibility. Next requirement is ensuring that interactive elements are easy to identify. Provide distinct styles for interactive elements such as links and buttons to make them easy to identify. For example, change the appearance of links on mouse hover or keyboard focus. Here also I prepared an example of mouse over hover style, keyboard focus style, and touch or click style. You should ensure that form elements include clearly associated labels. Ensure that all fields have descriptive label adjacent to the field. It means that for every your form should have a label that describe the purpose, the meaning of that form, so every user can understand what the purpose of the form and which type of information they need to input. Next, you should ensure that form elements you should provide easily identifiable feedback. Provide feedback for interactions such as confirming form submission, alerting the user when something goes wrong, or notifying the user of changes on the page. Interactions should be easy to identify. It means that your web application should have feedbacks that are easily identifiable. For example, in our case here, we can see that error is easily identifiable by user because the background of the error is red, is filled with a red color, so it's easily identifiable. So it's one of the requirements for accessible websites, web applications. Another web application is using headings and spacing to group related content such as using semantic HTML. This helps assistive technologies interpret the content correctly and improve accessibility for users who rely on screen readers or other assistive technologies. Next is like creating designs for different viewport sizes. It means that making a web application more responsive. Consider like how page information is presented in different size viewports, such as mobile phones or Zoom browsers windows. Eventually, we can test that your web application should be responsive. It should be responsive for different size of viewports. And last requirement you should take care of in order to make accessible web application is like including image and media alternative text in our design. It's like providing a place in our design for alternative text for images and media. This is one of the requirements for making accessible web application, and we can see that from the statistics. We can see that most web developers ignore this requirement, and they do not include an alternative text for images and media, and this leads to one of the major accessibility failures. And about this accessibility failure, we'll talk later in the video. Continue our journey toward enhancing the web accessibility for users with disabilities. We now arrive at the crucial step, web accessibility evaluation. Step 2. This important step involves analysis of different websites to ensure that they meet accessibility features and guidelines. We'll be using a combination of automated tools and manual testing to examine the various aspects of accessibility, such as keyboard navigation, screen reader compatibility, color tone contrast, and provision of alternative text for images. We aim to identify any barriers that may hinder users from accessing and interacting with the web effectively. In our pursuit of enhancing the web accessibility for users with disabilities, we conducted a comprehensive and evaluation process of 4 different websites: EA Sports, Setanta Sport, Headhunter KZ, and Software.kz, covering different aspects of our life, such as gaming, media, travel, and job. We also employed a diverse array of tools, each offering unique insights into accessibility features and potential improvements. These tools include Wave, Lighthouse, XDevTools, and intent-based accessibility checker. We can test that by using these tools, we gained valuable insights into accessibility features and shortcomings of each website. While our investigation has yielded valuable insights, we decided that the detailed result of our investigation will be provided later in the video presentation, where we'll talk about accessibility compliance assessment, specifically step 4 of our research. As we move forward in our exploration of web accessibility, we now came at the important juncture, step 3, the web accessibility statistics. In this stage, we'll dive into real numbers and data surrounding the web accessibility. We'll uncover realities faced by the individual with disabilities when accessing online forums and the impact of inaccessible forms and web design on their daily lives. We'll also these statistics will shed light on the current state of digital inclusivity, and eventually we'll be able to gain a deeper appreciation for the importance of designing a more accessible web application, of designing and developing of more accessible web applications. First, we'll start with a general statistic. It's estimated that 1.3 billion people worldwide experience significant disability. These disabilities contains a wide range of conditions, including visual impairments, hearing, motor, and cognitive impairment. For these individuals, navigating the internet can often be difficult. Next fact is in a study of home pages for the top billion websites, over 51 million distinct accessibility errors were detected. This is an average of 51.4 errors per home page. The detection of such large number of errors underscores the urgent need for improved digital accessibility practices. Last general fact I want to present is that 96% of home pages had detectable web content accessibility guideline failures. The fact that 96.3% of home pages had detectable failures show that most websites are not meeting basic accessibility requirements, emphasizing the critical need for improved accessibility practices to ensure equal access for all users. If you're interested in what percentage of disabled users face accessibility issues, here I prepared the illustration to look at the data in details. Here we can see that majority of disabled people, approximately 81%, may struggle with accessibility, but they will not prevent them from making a purchase online. For example, also here we can see that 6% of disabled people cannot purchase due to the accessibility issues. So totally we can say that about 90% of disabled people face some accessibility failures. This huge number, this huge percentage of failures for web application. Based on my research, accessibility failures accessibility failures most commonly involve low contrast text, missing alternative text for images, empty links, empty buttons, and missing document language. We can see here at the data, like here we can see the percentage, like about 86% of web application face low contrast accessibility failure. Then there is missing alternative text for images failure, be about 65%. Then there is comes empty links and missing input labels. About 50% of web application face such accessibility failure. There are also some minor accessibility failures, about 30%, like empty buttons or missing document language. However, we can see that there is no any significant effort to solve these issues. We can see that argument in our table, in our illustration. There's only small decline in percentage throughout year. For example, for low contrast text, it only is same throughout 4 years, from 2019 to 2023. There is no any decline in that accessibility failure. While in others there is smaller decline. This shows that there is still a lot of work to be done to make website easier to use for everyone, especially those with disabilities. So as we know, there are many assistive technologies that play a pivotal role in enhancing accessibility and independence for individuals with disabilities. Among these technologies, one of the most widely used is a screen reader. Screen readers are like helpful assistants for people who cannot see well. They read aloud the text on a computer or phone screen. With screen readers, users can explore websites, read documents, check emails, and use apps just like everyone else. In short, screen readers are like lifelines, giving people with visual impairment, with other also impairments, independence and access to the digital world. Now let us explore some statistics regarding the use of screen readers. We can see that about 90% of disabled people use screen reader as an assistive technology. And here also I prepared a table where we can see most primary desktop laptop screen readers. There are two most primary screen readers, and they are NVIDIA and JAWS. Also, in my comprehensive analysis of different web applications as a second step of this journey, I also used NVIDIA program, NVIDIA screen reader, in order to examine the screen reader compatibility of web applications. And result of this investigation you can see later, as I said in the video presentation. So. Also, however, we can see that disabled people who use screen readers as assistive technology still face some failures because not all websites and applications are designed with accessibility in mind. And here I just, like we can see that I prepared 3 accessibility failures by screen readers. Firstly, it's like image, videos, and other non-text elements may lack alternative text or have inadequate descriptions. As a result, users relying on screen readers may miss out on important information conveyed through this medium. Secondly, some websites and apps have complex layouts or navigation structures that are difficult for screen readers to interpret.
This can make it hard for users to find the information they need. Lastly but not leastly, forms with complicated layouts or inaccessible format controls such as unlabeled fields or missing instructions can also pose significant challenges for screen reader users when filling out online forms or completing transactions. While screen reader comes as a assistive technology to help disabled people, web applications do not support screen reader opportunity because due to the accessibility failures, screen reader users cannot use this assistive technology properly.
As we progress in our journey toward enhancing the accessibility of web applications, we now derive as the most important part of our presentation. Step 4. Examination of investigated results. In this phase, we'll dive into findings of our investigation using a variety of investigation into the accessibility of web application using a variety of automated tools and manual testing. We look at different websites such as Setanta Sport, Headhunter.kz, Software.kz, EA Sport, and use different tools to examine how accessible they are. Our investigation was like a big checkout to see how these websites are easy to use and access. We also employed different special tools to look for things such as missing alternative description for images or hard to read text or even buttons and links that are tricky to use. We can say that generally in this part of our talk I will share you what we found out about each website. We'll talk about what each website did well and where they can improve to make a more accessible web application.
Firstly, let us dive into the results of our investigation of the website using different evaluation tools: Wave, Intent-Based Accessibility Checker, Lighthouse, and XDev tools. We'll go through each tool evaluation for each website one by one, and we'll start with the Wave tool. So here I prepared you evaluation of each of our website based by Wave Accessibility Checker. Here for Setanta Sport. It showed 10 errors like missing alternative descriptions or empty buttons and 8 contrast errors. For Headhunter.kz there is 39 errors such as missing alternative text and empty links or not proper headings, and 57 contrast errors. For EA Sport there is no any error and there are only 2 contrast errors. Lastly, for Software.kz there is 22 errors and 40 contrast errors. Next, we'll talk about results of using intent-based accessibility checker. The intent-based accessibility checker gave 67 point for Setanta Sport website and 66 point for EA Sport website. Both websites had 3 critical issues. The result of Surturkazem on intent-based accessibility checker gave him 66 point and also 3 critical issues. And the least amount of point the website get is Headhunter KZ. It only got 42 point of accessibility, having 6 critical issues. Next, we came to the Lighthouse accessibility checker. Headhunter KZ got 60% point of accessibility. Setanta Sport got 86 point of accessibility. Software KZ got 91, and lastly EA Sport got 88 point of accessibility. And there is also a result of evaluation by XDev tools. Headhunter KZ got 58 total issues with 10 critical and 48 serious. And 40 and Software KZ travel website got 14 total issues with no critical issues and 14 serious issues. And also there is EA Sport, who is a website that got 70 total issues, 1 critical and 60 serious. And Setanta Sport website got 50 total issues with no critical issues and 50 total serious amount of serious issues. After analyzing the evaluations, it clears that EA Sport has the least amount of errors across the board, while Headhunter.kz has the highest number of errors. However, what's interesting is that despite their differences, This website shares similar types of failures which reinforce the statistics we discussed in step 3 of our journey, where we said that most accessibility failures involve low contrast errors, missing alternative description for image, and empty buttons or links. In general, we can categorize the failures we observed into 5 main groups. First is a low contrast problem. This occurs when text or elements of the website have insufficient contrast with the background, making them difficult to read, especially for users with visual impairments. Next group is a missing alternative text problem. Images and other non-text content lacking alternative text prevent users, particularly those using screen readers, from understanding the content and context of visuals. And the third main group is the empty link problem or empty button problem. Links that have no descriptive text or simply labeled "click here" provide little or to no information about destination, posing a challenge for user navigating through the website by using screen reader assistive technology. And there is fourth main group, a keyboard navigation problem. Websites lacking proper keyboard navigation support make it challenging for users who rely on keyboard input to navigate through interactive elements such as links, buttons, and form fields. But here it's important to mention that websites only have minor keyboard navigations. I want to say that keyboard navigation doesn't work only in some part. For example, EA Sport and Headhunter KZ didn't have any keyboard navigation problems, while Setanta Sport and Software KZ had key navigation problem in only some parts, not the whole page. And there is only last main group we need to consider is the screen reader problem. Sometimes websites do not work well with screen readers used by people who cannot see it. This can happen when things are not labeled right, important parts are missing, or the way to move around the site is too confusing. We can see that by screen reader problem occurs because of the other problems like low contrast problem or empty link problem. If we solve this problem, we can automatically optimize screen reader problem. Now, I would like to talk about ways to solve this problem and improve web accessibility that eventually will benefit ourselves. And I will start with the low contrast problem. To solve the low contrast problem in web accessibility, we need to ensure text and elements have sufficient contrast by checking the ratio between the text and background colors in a variety of tools such as Web AI and Accessibility Checker. And also we need to use high contrast color combination instead of low contrast elements. Additionally, we need to provide high contrast themes and reminding users to view content in a well-lit environment for improved readability. To effectively address another problem called missing alternative text for images, we need to ensure descriptions are descriptive and concise, conveying the image purpose and content to users who cannot see it. We need to test it with assistive technology to verify accuracy and provide guidance to content creators on writing effective alternative text. To solve empty link or empty button problems, we need to remove them if they are unnecessary and use descriptive anchor tags for meaningful links. If empty links are essential, we need to ensure they have proper labeling and consider using buttons or providing fallback content to clarify their purpose for users. Improving accessibility for screen reader users involves using semantic HTML, ensuring keyboard accessibility, providing descriptive alternative text for images, and using clear and informative link and button labels. Additionally, we should also ensure proper table structure, providing multimedia alternatives, and utilizing semantic headings. As I said before, by solving low contrast problem and missing alternative problem, and also empty link and button problem, we can improve accessibility for screen reader users. And last problem we need to solve is enhancing web accessibility through enhancing keyboard navigation. Developers should prioritize maintaining a logical type order, including skip lanes, and providing keyboard shortcuts to improve usability and accessibility for all users. As I said before, website that are evaluated doesn't have any major keyboard navigation problems. they have own problems in some part of page. That's why, but here it's important also to enhance web accessibility through effective keyboard navigation. That's why I also provided you with solution to solve keyboard navigation problem.
Now, a crucial stage, we are ready to suggest ways to make web application more accessible for people with disabilities. This step number 5 recommendation is all about practical solution. I will offer straightforward insights into fixing code, tweaking design, and making web application easier to navigate. By doing this, we ensure that everyone, no matter their abilities, can interact and navigate with the web effectively. This phase shows our dedication toward creating a more inclusive digital environment where accessibility is a top priority, ensuring fair access for everyone.
In a world where technology plays an increasingly significant role in our daily lives, it's crucial that we ensure equal access and usability for everyone, regardless of their abilities. One key aspect of achieving this goal lies in recommendations we provide for improving the accessibility of web applications. These recommendations contain three main areas: code remediation, design changes, and usability enhancements. Let's delve into each of these areas to understand how they contribute to making web application more inclusive. And we'll start with the code remediation. Firstly, in terms of code remediation, we emphasize the importance of using proper semantic HTML markup. By employing appropriate tags, we can enhance screen reader navigation, making it easier for users with visual impairments to navigate through web content seamlessly. Additionally, we can implement real landmarks and ensure logical focus management to enhance the accessibility of dynamic content and interactive elements and enabling all users to interact with web applications effectively. Secondly, there is design changes. Design changes play a crucial role in improving accessibility. By enhancing color contrast, optimizing layout and spacing, and employing clear and consistent navigation, we can create web interfaces that are easier to perceive and navigate for individuals with various disabilities. These design changes can not only improve our readability and usability, but also promote a more intuitive and user-friendly experience for all users regardless of their abilities. Lastly but not leastly, usability enhancements are key to ensuring that our web applications are easy to navigate for all users. Simplifying navigation, improving form usability, and enhancing multimedia accessibility are essential steps in the process. By prioritizing usability, we can create web applications that are not only accessible but also enjoyable to use for everyone. In conclusion, I want to say that accessibility is not just a checkbox on a list of requirements, it's a fundamental aspect of designing for web. By following the recommendation outlined in these steps, step 5 talking about recommendation, we can make a significant progress towards creating a more inclusive digital world.
In a conclusion, I want to say that this research outlined a comprehensive framework for enhancing the accessibility of web applications for users with disabilities. Beginning with the identification of accessibility guidelines such as Web Content Accessibility Guideline or Section 508, developers gave valuable insight into the requirements of designing and developing more inclusive web experiences. Through a systematic approach involving accessibility evaluation, analyzing web accessibility statistics, and compliance assessment, developers can identify areas for improvement and prioritize accessibility enhancements effectively. By providing actionable recommendations spanning around code adjustment, design modifications, and usability enhancements, this framework empowers developers to create web applications that cater to the diverse needs of all users, fostering a more inclusive digital environment where accessibility is prioritized and embraced. And here I can say that it's all for this video presentation. Hopefully you benefited it and you enjoyed it. Here I want to say that see you in the next upcoming video presentation. I will talk about other topics regarding software architecture, and bye.